Hello everyone, hopefully you are doing all well out there. Good to see you all. Felt like there was no need to do the stream starting soon for so long, given that I have been a bit late in starting anyway. But good to see so many of you already in the chat, which is awesome as always. What a week. What a absolute crazy week. Like, here we are all thinking round 13, round 14, these are the crazy weeks, these are the ones we need to be mindful of. Nah. It was actually round 15. Round 15 was the mad one. What happened? Just to recap everything. Good evening, one. Yes, thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Hoggers, Tyler, Mr. Callio. 11:49, Captain Hughes. Great shout there. Hamish Hunter, Raymond Crane, Jay Callahan, Mark Lawless. Lots of scores I'm seeing. 10:32, 10:99. That's pretty good, I reckon. Wife's account, 11:31, and Garrett captain. And she sat Nickera. She could have been in for a huge one, surely. Let me give you a hotspot of mine, thank you. 12:25, Captain Luai. Oh, I feel like I need proof of that, to be honest. Luai, someone asked me on Twitter ages ago, oh, is Luai an option? I said, nah. Since then, he's averaging more than 100. Of course, that's how things go. 10:57, nearly NFL season, thank God. Thank you, Benny. Yeah. Also watching the NBA Finals as well. Yeah, I had exactly 17 as well. Like, just... So, what happened in the week? Like, first, what happened? Like... Bulldogs were on a bye. Okay, I was like, okay, cool. We'll cover that. Then we had a big day for Feeder being ruled out. And we're like, okay, that's one thing. Then Dom Young got ruled out. And we're like, okay, now it's really panic stations in terms of like, what do we do with our teams? I was looking at, if both of those guys had played, I would have saved trades. I wouldn't have made any moves. But then both of them being knocked out, not literally knocked out, but like, not playing this week. And Dom Young is also a possibility of not playing next week, just FYI. But just to add to the woes. But I was like, oh God. And Joey Lussick has become one of the worst trade-ins all season because he's now he's just an autumn emergency nightmare. What did he got? Like 7 points last week, 6 points this week. All cash gen is absolutely out the window. He's cheaper than Danny Levi. Danny Levi was actually the answer all along. He's an autumn emergency nightmare and there's no one to sell to for value. So he's just sitting there ruining things. So I was like, well... And I had the VC on Manu, so I was like, I can't even take Manu's loop of 40 points. In hindsight, probably should have taken the 40 points. But yeah, so that was obviously a few things that happened. In the end, if you follow me on Instagram, which I do encourage because it's easier for me to post stuff on Instagram than in updated thoughts than it is YouTube. I was like, look, I need a downgrade because next week I think I just need Tedesco, who looked really good again yesterday. And apparently Telegraph are reporting that there are 4 changes for New South Wales. So I think it's that Cam Murray, Mitch Moses, Dylan Edwards, and one more person who I can't remember. Latrell, of course. Latrell. Been called in for Origin 2. And then, so yeah, Hines has replaced McInnes, Tedesco, and Suoli'i. So yeah, Teddy looks like he's going to be available for round 16. Not an easy matchup against the Dogs, but it's just the long-term run. Round 17 versus West Tigers. I think I'll be wanting to get Teddy in for sure. So my whole thing was like, okay, I need to free up funds to get in Teddy next week because I don't have enough to go drink water to him. So in the end, Armstrong was the guy who I was looking at selling. And, Kai Pearce-Paul being ruled out. That was the other one. The Kai Pearce-Paul that was the other player who didn't play. So it's just depth was really getting tested this week. So I was like, okay. And Galvin was out already. I was like, geez, it was not a good week to have bad depth. Joe Chan got a run out for 13 points. Look, I'll take it. Should have captained Joe Chan over Ruben Garrick. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the week? Ruben Garrick at home to Brookvale versus the Dragons, where he averages about 103 points in his last few weeks. Joe Chan is actually the better captain than Ruben Garrick. Could you believe it? You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. That's why we love this game, isn't it? But so I, in the end, went Hopewadi. I was umming and ahhing between him and Fletcher Sharp. I was thinking someone like Jason Saab. I can't even tell you what Jason Saab scored. I kind of switched off the Manly game second half. I was like, look, you know what? Like, when Garrick went down with that second HIA, especially after I cursed him as well, like, I was already nervous when he got that first one. I was like, okay, please just... I was like just praying to anyone. I was like, please, Ruben, come back for me, please. Like, I was like, I'm not even going to be greedy here. I'll just take 50 points. Like, he's more captain than Manu. Manu went 40. I was like, I'll take 50, 60 points. I don't need huge. Just get like a one attacking stat, a few goal kicks. I'm happy. So he comes back and I'm like, sweet, he's passed his HI. So I tweet it and then gets that second one and kind of had to switch things off at that point. Well, you know what? You just have to laugh about it. Look, the only thing that's making me happy about these kind of things when they happen in Supercoach is just making the funny memes out of it. So of course I had to make a meme as soon as it happened. I literally was driving it when it happened as well. I stopped on the side of the road. Little secret for you guys, you might think I'm crazy. I stopped on the side of the road to make that tweet because it happened and I was like, I can't, and I had like 15-20 minutes to my destination. I was like, I can't wait 15-20 minutes to post this. Like, people are going to be asking like, oh man, what's happened, you've gone all quiet, blah blah blah. So I was like, let me show you all. I'm going to sit on the side of the road making a meme about how my captain has scored 7 points and there's nothing you can do to stop me. But yeah, Hop Whitey, I went in the end. I know it's very short term. Fletcher Sharp was what I was debating because Fletcher Sharp covers 17, 19 and maybe 20 by the look of it. I just went Hop Whitey though for the matchups. Like, his matchups were better on paper. So he had Dragons this week. Next week he's got Rabbitohs, which won't have Latrell now. So I just went, look, just get Hop Whitey, get the guaranteed cash. And he did very well in the end, scoring 90. So thank God that he got some points. It's going to be using an extra trade. That was the only trade I used this week. Didn't sell Drinkwater, which did work out. Massive condolences to anyone who went Drinkwater to Garrick. I know lots of people do that. And on face value, I was recommending that. I think, look, you know what? I understand it. That's just brutal. Like, Garrick's not going to be available now for round 16. Someone else was in the chat earlier asking, is he a sell? Well, Garrick for me is a season keeper. So he'll miss next week. He'll miss round 16. He'll miss round 17 as well. Manly were on the bye. So he will miss 2 of the next 3 weeks. But look, from round 18 onwards, you're going to want him back. And look, at least he's got the 2 rounds off. So you'd hope that any lingering symptoms of 2 concussions in one half is pretty brutal as well. So hopefully he comes back and he's all good to go. But everything this week was just, if there weren't all these mass restings and stuff, there's no way I would have made any trades. I would have, because Armstrong even is playing on the wing in New South Wales Cup. So apparently there's a test for him to maybe come back on the wing for Newcastle. So I would have been happy to hold him, but I just had I was down to 16. So it's there's no point sacrificing points on the table. I can make a trade, get a guy who hopefully scores well. So by getting in Hopewadi, I did get myself an extra 84 points, probably worth it in the end. So happy in the end I used that particular trade, and I'm happy that he scored very well too. But yeah, just carnage this week. DWZ is another one I can see from Hamish. Yeah, he's got 16 points. He's been suspended now. He's misses round 16. This is the thing that always happens, and you try to buy a plan and just you get the rug pulled from underneath you and you just can't plan for it at all. So yeah, that's brutal as well for owners. I know people who bought him when he was really expensive. DWZ this is. They sold him when he was going down in price. They rebought him back. And yeah, that's just rough. Yeah, Help White is a saving grace. Absolutely. Yeah, look, captaining Garrick is obviously the biggest disappointment of the round for sure. Because elsewhere, I think the rest of my scores were actually pretty good. That was really the saving grace. Well, yeah, I was on for a good week probably. Grant was a little bit low. Terrell May only played 26 minutes, which is not ideal. Liam Henry, solid as 47. Back row actually did very well. So Samuel Lafina got a try assist, so he ended up on 62. Eli Katoa, awesome as always, 88 points. Britton Nickera, finally, I've only had him for a couple of weeks now, but really good. He had a really good game for attacking stats. Not much base, 40, but he had 3 line breaks, 2 try assists, scored a try himself with 3 line breaks. So 120 points for him in the end. So really happy with that. Dillbags and Walker, pretty solid. Cody, pretty solid against the Broncos as well. Asako's been underwhelming, but look, whatever. It's not 7 points. Drinkwater, very happy I held on to him, but I will probably sell Drinkwater next week. I know William here is saying Drinky never a trade out. He probably means that for this week. I do think the run does get tough enough where he misses round 16, misses round 19. Teddy's sitting right there available for round 16. I think he's going to be the prime target. And by going Armstrong to Hopewadi, I've guaranteed I have the money. I've got 263k in the bank now to go Drinky to Teddy next week. That's definitely going to be one trade I'll probably make. And then I might make that my only trade. Obviously, Garrick's not going to be available for us anymore, but I do have enough for next week anyway. So if I look at playing in round 16, I'll have Terrell May. I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'll have 14. I'll have 15. That's 15 including Sam Hughes and including Joe Chan. So let's call it a better 13 then, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with 13 for next week. So I might not have to make... Oh, and it'll go up to 14 again if I get Teddy next week. So I think next week I'm probably looking okay to probably just make like the one trade. But yeah, that's a little quick wrap up of my team. Obviously, Garrick being the biggest disappointment. Nice score a month considering some with a Garrick with a 7. Yeah, thanks, Mr. Callio. Yeah, as I said, there were guys like Britton Nickera, Hopewadi as a kind of last minute trade in. I did literally traded him like 5 minutes before lockout for that game. They did very well for me. Holding on to Drinkwater, I think, helped a lot too. So, Kale Iro was really solid as well. Nick, as Nick says, with a soft draw and good round 19 and 20 bye coverage, Nickera is a round 17 must, in his opinion. Yeah, I will say it's a little bit reactionary. Look, I'm happy to say, get one of my players is a must. Yeah, or get him. He is pretty low owned. I think he's like 5%, but this was his first big game of the season. His previous high score this year was like not even 100. I think it was in the 96 or 95. So I'm happy to see him get some attacking stats this game. He does, like, the Sharks do have a very soft run. And obviously with this news now that Hines isn't in the New South Wales team, it looks like Moses has got the spot. One thing I'm kind of happy about is I have banked some cash. I know it's going to mean I'll have to eventually make sure I get rid of Hopewadi and get a gun in, but with the Troll probably likely not being available for round 16 and round 19 now, the fullback stocks are a little bit less who actually play in the major bye weeks. You've probably got Nickel Klukstad who went 65, but Teddy's probably the main one. Scored 90. He updated to 100. He looks just like... Next week he'll probably be... I know Bulldogs is not the easiest matchup now defensively, but he'll probably be close to mass vice captain or captain, just depending on the order of the games. I just can't quite remember. So kind of happy that I freed up that cash. But yeah, back on Nickera. So yeah, look, Sharks do have a very, very soft run. Seems like they always get a soft draw most seasons in the last few years. But yeah, like after 16, Bulldogs in round 17 is tough, but like 18, 19, Titans, and then especially round 19, West Tigers at home, when we're all going to be looking at just the players who play that particular bye week, you'll definitely want him. Round 20, he will miss, but then round 21 onwards, like just a recap for the Sharks, Cowboys, Rabbitohs, Titans again, Newcastle, Dragons, Warriors, Manly. Like awesome draw. So loading up on Sharks players will definitely be worthwhile. Nickera's probably going to be one in the second row. Nico Hines for sure will be a mass target, and he had a 206. Did he have he had a 208 break even, and he was projected with a score of 67 next week to have a 216 break even. He's obviously not going to go down in price next week, but like round 17 should drop cash again. Hopefully round 18, if he's going down to like the 700s, hopefully, anyone who's got Jerome Hughes, I think you've got the perfect like stepping stone. Jerome Hughes has been killing it the last couple of weeks. Straight back up to Nico Hines for round 18, round 19, and yeah, Hines will be probably the most popular captain by far in round 19 versus the Tigers at home. So definitely the Sharks players are going to be heavily on radar. Obviously they don't play round 16, so you don't need to worry about them so much right now for next week, but definitely a team to target. I guess with Dolphins players, they will cover next week, and they do cover round 19 as well. So it's an interesting one. Like Osako has been pretty underwhelming, but look, he still manages in games where he doesn't get many attacking stats to pump out like 50s, which is not great when you're paying up. You're paying up for him. He's a bit cheaper now. I paid I think close to 800k for him. So he's been a bit underwhelming for me. Run home draw isn't great, but you do know he's got these games in him where he can go huge. So there's enough good games like round 19 versus Rabbitohs. He's going to be pretty heavily targeted. There's a couple. It's kind of a mixed up and down draw. The Dolphins are an attacking team, so I don't mind Osako as well as a bit of a look in for your centre wing trade in next week. And maybe people who are thinking about going Garrick to him, I'm not really too keen on this sell Garrick because I think Manly have got a pretty good run for the run home. It's just very unfortunate what's happened. I haven't looked yet at what Jay Schubert has said for the Manly game in terms of projected price changes, but I have a feeling Garrick coming. I don't know what his break-in was coming into this week, but yeah, so he's got Garrick losing 60k projected with 126 break-even. So Garrick is going to be losing a lot of cash. So I think now if you haven't got Garrick at this point, you can for sure wait a bit on him. As soon as Fafita was ruled out, I had Hughes locked in as my captain, then got scared and changed to Manu. Always trust the gut. Yeah, definitely, always trust the gut, because even as of this morning, my gut was telling me just get Hopewadi because he's got the soft draw. Fletcher Sharp in the end, if I traded him in, he would have been fine. He ended up scoring 70 points. But I'll take the extra 20 points from Hopewadi at least for now. And at least I know he's going up in price for sure from next week. So, yeah, but for sure. And, like, that's the one thing I'll say, like, just to hopefully round it out on the whole Ruben Garrett captaincy. Like, yes, it's painful and it sucks, but, like, from beginning of lockout of last week, I was like, yep, he's my captain. He probably looks to me the best one. And I was pretty firm on him for the whole week. So, like, it's not like I feel more for people who did it, like, last minute. You know, people who, like, last minute change from Manu to Garrick, then so you were a bit on the fence. That's normally when it hurts the most. In my case, like I was like adjusting trade plans to make sure I could keep it Garrick on captain. So obviously that didn't work out, but like at least like I was backing my gut. It just doesn't feel as disappointing when you do it that way. So that's definitely the best advice for sure. Guys, if you're enjoying the stream as well, do please give it a like. One thing I have, just now to round out the whole Ruben Garrick chat, I decided I don't normally indulge in the drink just when I'm at home, but I've made myself a gin and tonic for the stream. It is, if anyone is keen on gin and tonics, here's a nice little twist to it. It's a gin and tonic, but the tonic water is elderflower flavored. Very, very nice. It goes down very well. But yeah, I guess on the Dolphins, you've got Herbie Farnworth has actually been doing really well too. So he scored 88. I'm pretty sure last week he had a pretty good score as well. Yeah, he scored about 72, 121. He's had a good few weeks as well. The draw, not ideal long term for the whole rest of the season. So that's probably the one thing I'll say with Dolphins players. Like I know someone actually was asking earlier, thoughts on Hammer after the origin period. I mean, yeah, we can talk about Hammer's first try. Like he's a freak. Like, and he's just been scoring very well for the entire season, like close to a 70 average. So yeah, Hammerso definitely is an option, but like really doesn't come into play until round 20, round 21. But yes, people were mentioning it earlier in my stream on Tuesday, actually, when I was kind of rattling off who are the top, center wing guns. I didn't mention him, but people probably rightly so were saying, oh, maybe consider him. So yeah, definitely is consideration, but just not during this origin period for sure. But yeah, Farnworth could be an option, but I just do think that maybe the draw is a bit too up and down. I do feel like, yeah, center's a very stacked position, but he's on a good little run for sure. And he covers 16 around 19. So that's probably the biggest benefit. Gin and tonic, Mr. Callow. Yep, all good. Sam Walker or Hughes to Hines? I mean, that's probably a question for a few weeks from now. I mean, the Roosters have got a very nice run for the run home. The longer Munster is out, though, Hughes just looks so, so good to the eye. Like, and he's passing all the eye tests. He controls that team. What do you have? Like 4 try assists? Like, yeah. Very hard to let go of Hughes when he's scoring very well. Probably Sam Walker, I'd say, is more expendable of the two, just because, yes, he goal kicks, but he's probably not as involved in the Roosters attack as Jerome Hughes is for Melbourne. And you've probably already got a lot of other Roosters attackers. Like Teddy's probably going to be one of the most traded out players next week. Drinkwater to Tedesco might be the most popular trade next week, if I had to guess. But yeah, he'll be definitely high up there. The Roosters 2 play round 17 as well. Very quickly on the Raiders Cowboys game. So this is probably a bit of a surprise. I did terribly on the tipping as well, by the way. Like tipped Sharks, tipped Raiders. Also, this is annoying. I in the end tipped Broncos, but see, going with your gut, I actually had the Rabbitohs tipped all week. Only like 5 minutes beforehand, I just nah, make it Broncos. Should have stuck with my gut because I thought the Rabbitohs might put in a good performance, and they did, and they won. What else did I do? I tipped the Titans. So I was 0 from 4 from my first 4 tips, not great. And then I was 4 from 4 from the last 4. Tipped Storm, tipped Roosters, tipped Manly, and then tipped Penrith. But yeah, the first 4 tips, not great at all. But yeah, the Cowboys were pretty surprisingly good. Actually showed some grit and defense as well, which is not what we normally see from the Cowboys, to be honest. But yeah, so very happy with Drinkwater. Val Holmes pretty solid with his 72, just 1 try for kick and then plenty of goal kicks. Reece Robson scored a try as well. Lukey ended up with a line break try, so he did pretty well. 79 points in the end there. Nanai scored also a try. So yeah, I think with Cowboys players, like if you have, Val Holmes, I think if you've got him, you keep him. Drinkwater's probably the big one. There's maybe an argument to not have to sell Drinkwater. Like I think if you've got I know some people out there, let's say if you're targeting Tedesco, and let's say your combination, I know a few people who have Drinkwater and Latrell, which of the two would you actually sell maybe to get to Tedesco. At the moment, you probably would maybe sell Latrell, because Latrell, now that he's going to be picked for New South Wales, he'll miss round 16. He has a bye in round 17, and then he'll miss round 19. So he'll miss 3 of the next 4. Drinkwater misses 2 of the next 4. To be fair though, he's only playing the 1 extra game, and Latrell is more of a season keeper. But actually, I don't know. It's a tough one because the Cowboys, we know, are a good attacking team. So someone like Drinkwater, like he's scored 100 plus points against the Roosters only the week before. So the week before last, sorry. So we know he's got it in him to, score very well, even against the good opposition. I think Latrell, though, you probably just feel like if there's one you could want for the rest of the season, probably is Latrell, just with the goal kicking and things like that. Short term, I'd prefer Drinkwater because he's going to play at least 1 or 2 extra games. But yeah, Latrell, I think, is one who I'd actually prefer for the rest of the year. And Drinkwater does have a tough run for the remainder of the year. So, you know what? I'm actually going to change my answer. As long as you can cover Latrell in those 3 of the next 4 weeks, then yeah, Tedesco's, if you're selling someone for Tedesco out of Drinkwater and Latrell, maybe it would actually lean Drinkwater. Just because you feel like if you sell him, you can kind of not have to worry about getting him back. Whereas if you sell Latrell, there's maybe going to be a part of you that might think I might want him back later. And we're going to be all running out of trades probably very, very soon. Drink Bolter. I'm not a fan of the Bolters, to be honest, but the Elderflower Gin and Tonic is going down very well. Angus just won't let us pick him up for 700k post-Origin. Yeah, I know. We'll get to the Roosters game very soon, but yeah, that was a bit annoying. Look, as a Roosters fan, I was very happy with the win, but Angus killing it, I was like, oh god, there's another guy I'm going to have to try to bring back who I sold, who... This is the problem. I'm going to have to try bringing back Hines, Cleary, Crichton, get another gun fullback, maybe a gun front row. That's 5-6 players already. And if you're going to have to add in downgrades, that's 10 trades. So I'm like, I'm going to be left with 7 trades to manage all this other random stuff. But yeah, anyway. So that's kind of my thoughts on the Drinkwater Latrell situation, if anyone's in that particular boat. I think with the rest of your Cowboys players, you can probably... Finifuyaki, a little bit disappointing. But yeah, you're probably at a point now with Cowboys where they don't play round 16, they don't play round 19. Pretty tough run for the rest of the year. Probably at a point now where, apart from your guns like Val Holmes and your centers, maybe Drinkwater to an extent, Robson at hooker as well. Outside of that, you can probably start looking at maybe offloading them potentially. And you probably don't need to worry about rushing to get some of them back in. Raiders, not too Supercoach relevant. They do play round 16, don't play round 19. Jordan Rapana maybe is a bit of a punt because he scored pretty well his goal kicking until Fogarty comes back. Ethan Strange was solid. I know Morgan Smithies now probably is at a point where, look, did a job for you, scored 49 points if you still hold him or if you still own him. And I think now at this point you probably just get him for 16 and then you flick him after that. Or you just keep him because whatever, it's not at that much value. Also, Mr. Callie, I didn't say it before, but yeah, thank you so much for the $2.99 donation. Very much appreciated. But I won't drink Bolter. I'm drinking my Elderflower Gin and Tonic. Is Chance the second best option after Teddy? I already have Teddy. So, may as well jump to that game. There's a couple of questions I noticed about that too. So, yeah, on the Warriors, defeated by the Storm 38-24. Is CNK the second best option after Teddy? In this probably little period now that we are in, still with buys and things like that in Origin, he probably is. He covers 16, covers 17, covers 18 as well. Doesn't play round 19. And round 16 is against the Titans as well. So it's a pretty good matchup. He down-dated a little bit. I have a feeling, so he lost a try assist. So he was on 77 before. I can't remember which try assist he's lost, but he's lost a try assist. So he's down to 65, which is solid enough. Take out the try assist, line break assist. You're looking at 45 in base power, which is generally what CNK does most weeks. He's probably... Part of me still thinks I'd prefer Drinky. I don't know. CNK is just the more consistent guy. He's not going to give you those humongous scores. So far this season, to be fair, he's got 3 scores. Actually, he's got 4 scores in the 90s, which is pretty good. And his low score is 40. So he's going to be rock solid for you. He won't let you down most weeks. After Tedesco, if I had to rank right now, I probably would say it's CNK, just because, let's say next week, if you're trading a fullback, you'd probably, and you already own Tedesco, CNK is probably the one that you'd get. Doesn't cover round 19, but has a matchup against the Titans. He's going to be very solid for you. So, Yeah, he probably is number 2. For the run home season, he's probably not in my top 2. For the run home, it's probably going to be Teddy, the way that he's going and the way that the Roosters draw is for the rest of the year. And then probably would be one of, say, maybe like this is the thing, it's tough to say when Pappy could be back next week, round 16. That's probably something else to consider as well, is that if Pappy comes back, is he coming straight back into your team, potentially? You're going to have Turbo back at probably round 18, round 19. You'll also have Reece Walsh post-Origin as an option too. So you're going to have a few more options popping up. And I feel like when you get some of those guys coming back, Dylan Edwards will probably still be relevant. Then I just don't think CNK is probably quite up to that top 2 standard, although he's been really good all season. Like, he's averaging 83. Funnily enough, Reece says thoughts on Pappenhausen if he's back next week. I don't actually know what Pappy's break even is. We can have a quick look at it. So it might be on the higher end because, it might not be too high because I remember he when he got injured, it was in a game where he scored 70 something. Yeah, he's got a break even of 64. It's a good price, 692k. That's a really good price actually for Pappy. 690, like sub 700k for Pappy. Covers 16, covers 17. Won't cover 18. But against the Dolphins, I know the Dolphins are like a good team. Obviously they beat the Sharks, but they can concede points. Canberra at home looks pretty good. Then he's got the Tigers around 18. That also looks pretty juicy. And then it's just Melbourne. Like, Melbourne is a team that you can probably back, and it's a good price. I actually don't hate the Pappy trade in next week as well. It's probably going to be one of the talking points is, let's assume you already have Tedesco, and if you want to make a move at fullback, do you get CNK? Assuming Pappy gets named at fullback, do you get Pappy? Probably one where I need to go refer to NRL Physio and, see what he thinks about the likes of a Pappy on return from in terms of performance. But given it was what was his injury? It wasn't muscular from memory. I think it was a bone. Generally, injuries relating to bone, once they're healed, they generally come back pretty okay. It's the muscular ones like hamstrings and stuff, which generally can affect performance on return. But yeah, I don't actually mind that Pappy shout, to be honest. Because the next few games are actually looking pretty good. So that's probably definitely going to be a debate for your fullback spot next week. Any thoughts on SJ? Only 24. SJ's just, he's only come back this week, so he's probably going to be a little bit rusty. He's actually downdated to 21, sorry, Tom, if you're an SJ owner. Yeah, I know some people who have held on to SJ all season. That's brutal. Not all season, but since he first got injured. 155 break even. So Jay Schubert, let me just going to quickly refer to him. So he had SJ going down 103k. So he'll go down to 607k, and he has 141 break even. So SJ could be super, super cheap. The issue, I guess, with SJ is if you're waiting to time him when he gets to the bottom, by then you're probably at a point where you're looking to maybe get back Hines, maybe get back Cleary. And so I feel like SJ probably doesn't really help in that respect, where if you pick him up really cheap, if you wanted to use him again as a stepping stone, you'd need him to really turn it around fast with some really big scores to get his price moving in the right direction. At the moment, he's just going to be going down to the 500s, but if he doesn't move much from that, feels like a very short-term option. And I feel like we're getting to a point now where, Hines will be available around 17, 18, 19, etc. You'll definitely want Nico Hines back. Clearly, there's been some chat that he'll be back around 18. More likely, I would guess, because the Panthers don't play round 19, if he gets a week's rest and comes back in round 20, then Cleary's all of a sudden going to be maybe an option. And even then, you've still got Jerome Hughes, who I'd probably rank above SJ. SJ just doesn't feel quite relevant in the halfback spot at the moment. SJ may outperform Hines with Trindle playing, potentially, but even then, Trindle played this week, and Hines, I think Hines was close, didn't quite probably pass on, it's probably more in-game stuff where, I think, for example, who scored the try? I think it might have been someone on the right-hand side. Maybe it was Will Kennedy. There was just a couple of instances I remember where, if they didn't go down the right-hand side, if they just went left to Hines, they would just, there were acres of space, and Hines easily could have got another try assist or line break assist or something like that. So I think Hines, even in a game where he was a bit quiet, still ended up on 67. That's his floor, right? So I still think Hines, we were seeing this at the beginning of the season, even Hines with Trindle was still averaging 75, 80. Still probably better than almost all other halfbacks. So I still wouldn't worry too much about the Trindle effect. The draw is that good for the Sharks that even in Hines' low games, he still could be getting 80 plus points. So I just don't think any other halfback really, maybe apart from Cleary, can match him in that respect. And Cleary is definitely not even a rush to get in because he's coming back from a hamstring, which has obviously given him some bother. Like, I would definitely not be buying Cleary on his first week back. Look, someone can clip that up and maybe, publicly out me if I go back on my word, but I would be surprised if I jumped straight back to Cleary as soon as he comes back. Is Su'a-Fa'alogo a sell now? I guess the benefit next week is that Xavier Coates will be out, and so there'll probably be a wing spot vacant. So maybe Fa'alogo gets a spot on the wing. I think you just got to wait till team lists, but if next week, even in a bye week, say no Xavier Coates and Pappy's at fullback and Fa'alogo's not in the team, or if he's on the bench, I don't know what his projected break-even is, but he had a really good game, scored 94, scored a double. He'll have a break-even of 28. So even if he was named on the bench, you can probably give it 1 week and see what his role is. And then maybe from round 17 onwards, you can probably cash him in at that point. Like, he's been a good cash cow now in the end for owners who've got him because he was 494k, going up about 40k. So he'll be in the 500s. Like, he's at a decent value where you can make him, you can round 17, for example, hypothetically, you can make a move straight to like Mulatalo, who we haven't spoken about actually yet. Mulatalo was okay. I think he scored a try, he scored in the 50s. But, we saw the Sharks really soft draw. Someone like Fa'alogo to Mulatalo in round 17 could be really, really easy straight swap. So definitely don't need to rush out Fa'alogo, that's for sure. I guess elsewhere on the Storm side of things, we've already spoken about Jerome Hughes, just been super good for owners. For sure, if you're looking for a halfback for round 16, he's probably the best one to get. Eli Katoa as well has just been awesome, probably the best second row forward available at the moment for round 16. Although I say that, if Fifita isn't available in round 16, Fifita is probably the best. And then a couple other solid scores, like Tyron Wishart got a try assist for Fa'alogo as well. And Harry Grant was a bit quiet, 49 points. But look, if you own Grant, you're probably just keeping for the time being. Warriors probably not as interesting at this point. I guess DWZ being out for next week, we've kind of spoken about. He had a break-even of 5, so he's going up in price, but he won't have he'll have a 71 break-even when he comes back in round 17. So still could be someone for people to consider in round 17, but I said it earlier on Tuesday, I would prefer Mulatalo to DWZ. Just that long-term draw is so good. And the thing with the Warriors, they do have a bye in round 27, which is already a tricky week to cover. So that's the other thing I'd mention. Mitch Barnett actually was really good. He scored a try. I guess another Fanil Blake was okay with 53 points. I saw someone in the chat saying that Nick saying, I've already locked in Henry to AFB next week. Don't diss our boy Liam Henry. He only scored 6 points less than Fanil Blake, and he's about 300k cheaper. Liam Henry's just doing GOAT things. He's just been so solid. Apart from that, it's probably not much more to chat about from the Warriors Storm. I guess your big targets for next week for the Warriors will be maybe CNK, maybe in the front row Barnett because he's got the duel. And then you've got, who else is there? Well, yeah, AFB, probably that's it. Storm, plenty of options. Pappy, we've spoken a little bit about as well. Going to jump back to the Rabbitohs-Broncos game. We can probably rattle this one off pretty quick. One thing I wanted to mention was Payne Haas. Obviously, he's away for Origin, so he's not really an option to trade in at the moment, but definitely looking at him as someone who would be very nice to get in the run home because he scored 99 points in base power. So I just wanted to shout that out because that was like a ridiculous stat line. 36 tackles with 1 missed, 32 points in tackle bust, which is ridiculous, 12 points in offloads, and then 20 points in runs. 99 points in base power, you don't really see that too often. So shout out to anyone who owns Payne Haas potentially. I don't know. I wonder what his ownership is. I reckon it's still pretty high. What is it? How do you see ownership? So I'm still getting used to the whole new interface. 16% owned. Yeah, normally Payne Haas is probably around the 40% ownership at times. So anyway, shout out to Payne Haas owners if you still own him. Broncos don't cover round 16. Do they cover round 16? Sorry, I'm all over the shop. They don't cover one of the next 2 weeks. They don't cover round 16. They cover round 19. So again, still not really relevant from a Supercoach point of view until they get to round 19. But yeah, so probably not much more to chat on with them apart from maybe Karapani. Some people went him as a bit of a downgrade. Early in the week, I was saying Karapani I'd prefer as a downgrade to Hopewadi just because of the fact that he was at centre and not at fullback. But like the news was coming out with all these injured players. I just didn't want to make a rash trade, so I held off on going to Karapani via duels, and instead I was like, let me just sit on my hands, see what happens, and then I thought about it a bit more. That's when I decided to get Hopewadi. I guess from the Rabbitohs side of things, Damien Cook's actually been really good. He's definitely an option at hooker. So he's going to go up in price though, so he'll be around the 650k, 660. But he's been pretty good. I think, averaging 81 in the last 3 and scored 95 this week. He'll play round 16, play round 19. I don't see how New South Wales will change the hooker. I actually just got notification as well for the projected New South Wales team for game 2. It's probably not going to be anything too dissimilar to I think what people are expecting. But yeah, someone like Damien Cook could be an option at hooker as a bit of a pod. The only real changes to New South Wales is also Connor Watson in. So there was a video going around of Trent Robertson like giving Watson a congratulatory looking handshake and a few of the Roosters players clapping in the change room. That looked like a bit of a case of you've been selected for the Blues. So I think people were thinking about that Connor Watson would get selected as early as yesterday. Yeah, Mitchell Moses looks like he's in for Hines. And Dylan Edwards is in at fullback as well for Tedesco. So Tedesco will definitely be the big talking point, I guess, next week. Latrell, obviously, he's also in as well, of course. That should have mentioned him. Yeah, Latrell is in as well for New South Wales, which I think is the right thing to do. 80 points, but he did get a sin bin in that game, so that could have been way more. If you went on Latrell this week, I guess you kind of knew what you were signing up for, so hopefully you had a plan for what you would do. As I said before, you could sell him straight to Teddy, or you could maybe just hold on to him, because the way he's going is, for sure, he could be a season-long hold. Terrell made a Haas at round 17. Yeah, that could definitely be an option. Obviously, Haas, the benefit of the Broncos is that for the Origin players, they already miss round 19, so you're only missing that round 19 game. So you get him for round 17, 18, and then I think 20 onwards. So yeah, Terrell May was a little bit disappointing, and Terrell May won't cover round 19. So yeah, we could see the last of Terrell May after round 16. Kolomatangi, so someone actually earlier in the chat was asking chances of Kolomatangi getting front row forward duel. I think it's a pretty good chance, because as long as he keeps playing in the middle and keeps getting named there, they've set the precedent now with Josh Curran, where I think that's going to be the case, where he'll get it. So he could actually be a really handy front row forward option as well if he gets the duel. Because since he's moved to the middle, he's been doing much better. So he scored 52 last week. He had that really big game against Parramatta where he scored 133. He's going to score another try this week against the Broncos for 78. So he's definitely picked up his scoring. So he could definitely be an option as well. And Alex Johnston, I think, if people are looking at targeting a bottomed out centre wing, look, he scored a try, 54 points. He's going to be going down to like 420k, something like that. Personally, I'm not still a massive fan of AJ. I just think the Rabbitohs attack is not so left side dominant as it has been in previous years. I think Cody playing a halfback is a big reason for that. And I think Cody's looked good at halfback as well. So personally, AJ's not the guy who I'm thinking that's the money spot on the left hand side. I have to get that left winger. He's probably going to be solid for you, but he's got no base and like he can throw in these really low scores. So for me, Alex Johnson is still personally not my favourite, but I can see why people might look to him. Maybe if you've still got Armstrong and he's not named next week, but you need a cheapy guy in the centre wing, maybe Johnson could be a play for you. Apart from that, probably not too much more from the Rabbitohs Broncos. I'll skip the Tigers and Titans for now. It's probably not too much of relevance. We'll chat a bit about the Eels Roosters. Obviously, there's a lot of probably things to talk about here. Nick is saying, Henry's done a great job for us, but hard to pass up spending 170k and turning what was a 234k cheapie into a season keeper gun. Yeah, for sure. Look, I only say tongue-in-cheek, like, oh yeah, there was only 6 points difference between Liam Henry and Fanil Blake. If you can get Fanil Blake from Liam Henry's done exactly his job, which has been, awesome. One of the better decisions was Liam Henry versus Puasa Famasuli in round 1, I must say. Because, Liam Henry, I think with his 47... Jay Schubert hasn't got the projected price changes yet, but he had like a break even of 0 or 5 or something, so he'll definitely go up in price, which is lovely. I guess we've spoken a lot about Tedesco, so I'll probably skip over him a little bit. So he ended up on 98. Angus Crichton 100 points, like just had a terrific game, scored a try, 2 try assists. So I think congrats to anyone who still held on to Angus. But yeah, he's going to be very hard to not get for the run home when the Roosters have got such a good run. So yes, I think Angus is going to be a very scary watch as a non-owner. But yeah, I'll definitely be looking to get him back at some point. Daniel Tupou with a pretty good game as well, scoring 108. Sam Walker solid enough at 52. On the Eels side of things, Bryce Cartwright, actually, if anyone was looking at him still, he doesn't play 16, but he does play around 19. He ended up scoring 74 points, pretty much all in base power, so he had a really big game from that point of view, so definitely something to look at there. Dillbags, in the end, scored very well. He was quiet for a lot of the game, but then he had that one run where he scored his try, where I think he probably got like more than half of his points total. On Dom Young, just from the Roosters, I can see this question here from Tool Pro. How many games is Dom Young out for? So it was reported as a minor hamstring strain by NRL Physio. He was saying even the most minor of hamstrings would put him in doubt for round 16. And so it would have to have been the most minor of hamstring strains for him to be available for round 16 is what he was saying, which makes me think that there's maybe a chance that he doesn't play round 16 either. But he probably will be fine for round 17 onwards. And this is the thing. I did briefly think about selling Dom Young just because of like, oh, he's going to miss 15, he's going to miss 16. But I think if you've got Young, hold. I think like we've seen enough for the rest of this. We've seen enough this season that he is a keeper. And what I looked at specifically was that the Roosters after round, I think it was round 17, they versed the Tigers. And I was like, ooh, okay. I was like doing some forward planning in my head. I was like, if I sold Dom Young, and in round 17, I don't own him home to the West Tigers, I will be, quote-unquote, shitting bricks. Round 18, against the Dragons, probably equally the same. So, in the end, I said, you know what, I'm just going to hold Dom Young, because I just didn't want to have that fear. So, yeah, I think to answer your question, he's probably going to be out. He could be out for round 16. He could be back. We just don't know yet. But my guess is that he will miss round 16, just based on the way that physio was talking about it. Yes, the official New South Wales team is out as well on NRL.com if anyone is interested. I might just copy paste it into the chat if I can do that, just to save you guys. But yeah, pretty much the same. The only inclusions, so you got Dylan Edwards at fullback, Latrell at centre, Mitch Moses at halfback, Cam Murray at lock, which is nice. Connor Watson on the bench as well as yeah, that's it. Connor Watson on the bench. 18th man is Mitch Barnett. This is interesting. So Matt Burton isn't in the entire 20-man squad. Okay, so I thought Matt Burton might stay there at 18th man, but he's not. Now that's interesting because some people sold Matt Burton for Jerome Hughes this week, which I think was a fine move. Like, you got 108 points, but Burton not being in the entire squad is interesting because now that means he's available for round 16. So people who've held on to Matt Burton, you've got a guy for round 16. So hopefully that's a win for you. Okay, no, I can't copy paste the team in the chat because there's too many characters. So I know Burton was on the bye this week, but yeah, that's definitely something to keep note of. Let's quickly look at their schedule for the Bulldogs. So if you own Burton, I'll tell you looking in the halves. So Burton will now play 16, 17, 18. He might miss 19. Or he will miss 19 because it's the bye anyway. The Bulldogs have a bye. But this makes things interesting. I mean, the game's not the easiest. It's Roosters and then the Sharks. But Matt Burton now only misses round 19. And then he doesn't miss any other game for the rest of the year. So I think it's tough because people would have sold him last week. But now it looks like he could actually still be an option. But that was just one thing I wanted to point out with that New South Wales squad that does seem to be a little bit different from last week. Or not last week, the last game. Yeah, because he's not in that 18. He's not in the entire 20-man squad, which generally I literally thought he was a lock for 18th man just based on last game as well. But yeah, there you go. Otherwise, not too many other changes there. Is that because the Bulldogs complained? I have no idea. I didn't even hear that the Bulldogs complained, to be honest. But it could be because of that. You know, Gus Gould's there at the Dogs. He probably put in a good word to Madge, being like, mate, come on. If you're not going to pick this guy, just let me have him. Because we're doing well and we need to keep winning games. And we've got the Chooks. He's like, he probably was, well, apparently he's not that close to Madge because I was listening to his podcast. But you can imagine a situation where like, come on, mate, you're not selecting my guy in your team, but I can't pick him. Just don't even name him in the 20-man squad. especially if you're not going to pick Teddy, because that Roosters team I'm versing around 16 will have Tedesco, and you're not giving me Matt Burton. Come on, do me a favour. Maybe that was a conversation. Surely one of the 14 and 18 needs to be a back. Well, the thing is, so Mitch Barnett is the 18th man. I guess like Connor Watson is like a really good utility. So like Connor Watson can play lock, he can play hooker, he can play in the halves at a pinch. He's played at fullback before. He literally can play anywhere, to be honest. Like I think if hypothetically, God forbid this doesn't happen, but let's say Zach Lomax picked up an injury in the game and they had to replace him, they would probably just put Connor Watson straight in on the wing, and he'd probably do a job. Or what they do is maybe they put like Stephen Crichton on the wing, maybe they put Connor Watson at centre, maybe they do something like that. But like Connor Watson has played pretty much every position, I think, on the field. No Nico, he hasn't been named, and Dylan Edwards did get picked. Tedesco is available as a trade-in. Why no Burton? Honestly, it perplexes me. Like I think Burton should maybe not he could be in the halves, but he is a perfect back. I guess Connor Watson probably is more of a utility cover than Burton is. So Burton is good for the centres, the halves, and at a pinch, maybe lock. I've never seen Burton play dummy half. Connor Watson can definitely play dummy half, definitely can play lock. He can play in the halves, and he has played in the backs before. So I think he's more versatile than Burton. So that's probably the main reason for the Connor Watson selection. I don't hate the Connor Watson shout. Like I think he was going to be picked for New South Wales game 1 until he got injured. Just very quickly, I guess on Roosters things, so Terrell May, very disappointing, only 26 minutes. Spencer Leniu actually got heaps of minutes. He played like 54 minutes, so maybe one to watch for post-Origin as an option to trade in. But Joey Manu, a bit disappointing, only 40 points. A lot of people would have captained him, although of course better than captaining Garrick. And then, Tedesco we've already spoken about. He will definitely be a prime trade-in. I guess from the Eels, we've spoken a little bit about Bryce Cartwright. Penasini's had a couple of good games, but I don't know, feels like long-term probably not going to be an option I'd want to be keeping in my team for too long. Blaze Solangi, none of the Eels players play round 16, so we can probably wait for them until, say, round 19. But, Joey Lussick sitting there just bleeding cash is not great. And very surprising, I think the Eels looked way better when Brendan Hands was on the field. So I could eventually maybe make a straight switch from Lussick to Brendan Hands, because Hands scored, 59 points, pretty much all in base. Or he had 2 line break assists as well. Jay Schubert had him going, I think Brendan Hands and Joey Lussick will be almost the same price now, which is very sad to say. Lussick will go down to 59k, so he'll be in the 200s. Brendan Hands is going up 40k, so he'll be in the 300s. I might have to do Lussick to Hands, which is annoying, but if Brendan Hands keeps getting these minutes, and if Lussick keeps becoming this kind of auto-emergency nightmare, that's probably a problem I might deal with in, say, round 18. Okay, so I've just been told that apparently my net might be pausing for a bit, so I will try to switch it up 1 second. You guys might still be able to hear me okay. I think we may have disconnected, and I think I should be back. Sorry, that's very annoying. Excellent connection, okay. I think I should be back now. Sorry guys about that. Brief intermission. I had to give you guys a bit of an intermission, surely. That's just the standard, isn't it? So, you got ya? Yep, cool. Aman, what do you think has been my worst trade this year? You know what? I think it's now Levi to Lussick, which sounds crazy, but Lussick has actually ended up being terrible. Aman, what would you have as the top 5 SuperCoach flops of the year? Tough to say. That's okay. Look, I want to keep running through the questions just because the internet did drop a little bit, so I want to make sure that I get through everything that I have to. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get to a season review where we talk about biggest flops and whatnot and all that kind of stuff. Top 5 2RS for the run home. You'd have to think Fafita, Katoa, like an Isaiah Yeo, Olakuatu, and then maybe Britton Nickera potentially, or maybe someone like a Hopgood. I'd say they're going to be your Tellen May. Yeah, Tellen May was a big flop. Tellen May and Sean Lane were very flops. Very big flops, especially considering the preseason hype as well. All right, guys, now that I'm back, I won't say much on the Tigers-Titans game. I guess like both of these teams do play round 16. I guess Samuel Lafino was good. Stefano was really good, actually, 88 points. One player I will mention as well is Jaden Campbell. He scored very well, 77 points. I think if people are looking at maybe a fullback downgrade, 5'8 downgrade, I thought he looked actually pretty decent. So he scored 77, had a try off a kick, so didn't really get a line break with that, but a lot of points just from like 40-20. Yeah, accumulated a lot of points. Was also goal kicking as well. So that's one thing to definitely that's one thing to mention as well. Excuse me. Sorry guys, 1 second. I've actually just got my stream open on my phone as well, just so I can track it, just make sure everything's going fine. But yes, so that's honestly, there's probably not too much out of this Titans-Tigers game. Maybe Coruscant was okay as well with 58. Someone asked earlier as well, I haven't even got to the Knights game as well, but someone was asking about what's Burbo's break even. Burbo had a break even of 1, so he will make some money. Hines back in this week. I mean, Sharks don't play round 16, so no. 17, I probably won't get him either, just because I think he's going to have such a big break even, and it'll be like 216 points, and it'll be against the Bulldogs, who are not the worst defensively anymore. So I don't think I'll be getting Hines in round 17, but round 18, I probably will be very much looking at targeting Hines, because by that point he'll have Titans and then Tigers in round 18, round 19, and probably is in the 700k. Fingers crossed anyway. What to do with Jaden Brayley and Burbo? I mean, Burbo's been perfectly fine. Like, Burbo will play round 16, so you definitely hold him for that week. He's been pretty solid, 48 points again this week. He was also playing a bit of centre because obviously Garrick got injured during this game. So, Burbo had to play in the centre. So I wouldn't read so much into his score for this week. Olakuatu was really good. Probably showed us why, I wanted Olakuatu to go down really low in price because he had 151 break even. He's gone out and scored 109, so he's probably not going to go down as much as I would like. Cherry Evans is good, but it's probably not an option because of the Origin games that he's going to miss. And Hopewadi, who I did end up trading in, was pretty happy with him as well with his 90 points. Got a try and a try assist, so pretty stoked with that at least he got me some points this week. Obviously, the biggest disappointment, that man down the bottom there with 7 points with the armband for me this week, Ruben Garrick. I won't spend much more time talking about him, but look, it's one reason why I've got a gin and tonic, put it that way. It's an elderflower gin and tonic for anyone who's just joined the stream as well. Very, very tasty. But yeah, look, Garrick, it's just unfortunate. There's nothing you can do about it, so we move on, but won't be selling him for sure. I guess out of the Dragons, so Lomax got a try, so 74. He actually was very close to scoring another earlier in the game, so he definitely could have been better in terms of score. So 74 points, you'll definitely take that if you're an owner, if you traded him in this week. Apart from that, I mean, Carl Flanagan's actually put in some decent scores. He scored another try, so did Jacob Little. So, I mean, Flanagan, I don't know if I'd be considering him as a downgrade, to be honest. Probably not too much relevance, I guess, out of the Dragons, to be honest. I know Fingai was a downgrade that a lot of people were looking at. He only ended up scoring 35 points in the end. 35 or 34, I don't know which one. But look, it's one of 35 or 34. So he's not going to be probably making a stack of money. So I didn't love him as a downgrade, to be honest, for this week. Very quickly on the Knights-Panthers. So pretty overall good performance from the Panthers. Jerome Luai, literally ever since I said he is not a buy to someone on Twitter, he has been pretty much killing it. So, yeah, Luai, what can you say? But he's missing games through Origin, so I don't think he's an option. To'o really backed up again that big score from last week with 102 again. So, he looks like he's going on this run. He's getting on this run where he gets more ball, a couple of line breaks. Could be a run home center wing, but he's going to be expensive. He's going to go up in the 700Ks. I probably don't think I'll be looking at To'o until maybe round 20, to be honest. But yeah, is what it is for To'o and for Luai. Dylan Lucas, probably people were very happy that with him, named on the bench, ended up starting and scored a try for 75 points. So had a line break with that as well. Yeah, Jaden Brayley, very disappointing. So only the 34 points. I don't know how many minutes he played. I'll have a quick look at it just here on NRL.com. Let me have a quick look. See here. I was kind of in and out of watching this game. So he only played 40 minutes. Yeah, not ideal. I can't remember his price, but yeah, he's been a bit of a dud trade-in for a lot of people who went hit on him. He's going to start losing some money. Look, he plays round 19. To be honest, I think hooker's not a very exciting position at this point in time, unless you can really find big money to upgrade to Jeremy Marshall-King or who else was there? There's someone else who scored well this week. Damien Cook maybe back into form. You're having to spend more than 200k to make that kind of an upgrade. I feel like that money is better suited to be going into center wing or fullback. So I think if you own Brayley, to be honest, I'd probably just keep him at this point. He's around 19 number as well. Congrats to Swift AU who did bring in Brian To'o. So shout out to you. That's a good trade-in of yours. I guess apart from that, not much else from the Knights side of things. They don't play round 16. I guess Marzu a little bit more solid with 50 points. Fletcher Sharp looked really good for that opening try as well. So he ended up on 70 points. So he could be one who people maybe look at as a downgrade in round 17. He misses round 16, but he will play round 17, 18, and probably will play 19. So Ponga's been expected back to be to be playing back in round 20, but because they've got a bye in round 21, Fletcher Sharp might be there until round 22. So I did look at him as a downgrade in the NO and Hopewadi. Look, time will tell us whether that was the right decision or not. But I guess, yeah, from the Panther side of things, just solid scores all around, apart from Luai and To'o, who went very big. Schneider back in for Cole. Again, a bit of other carnage that I hadn't discussed yet. But yeah, Jack Cole also ruled out this week. And then, yeah, Liam Henry, solid as. He had a break-even of 0, so he'll keep making some money, you beauty. But yeah, I'll probably maybe try to upgrade him at some point, because yeah, he's going to be in the 500Ks. Yeah, Hamish, that's right. Yeah, Hands has been solid despite the Eels continuously moving Lussick to the bench. Yeah, which is why now I'm also thinking I might just go Lussick to Hands, maybe in round 17, just to get rid of. If Lussick is going to continue this role, he's just going to be an absolute AE nightmare. So I might just look to get Hands in. At least he can get me 40 to 50 a week as my backup dummy half. Is Armstrong for Sharp a good trade? Potentially, but look, not one you need to worry about for next week, because Armstrong, people might be looking to sell him next week. I don't mind that move as a downgrade, because it looks like, based on the performances, Fletcher Sharp should probably stay there until Ponga comes back. So, to free up like 250, 260k, I think it's a pretty reasonable move. Alright guys, I think I'm going to probably wrap up the stream there, just given the slight internet delays and things, but we've kind of gone through most of the games, gone through my team as well. We're at the hour mark as well, so hopefully you all enjoyed. Apologies for that little bit of internet disconnection we had recently. Do I like RTS next week? Probably not, to be honest. Like, he was... we all owned him at the beginning of the year, and he was kind of solid, but wasn't like groundbreaking. He kind of felt like Kale Iro, and I feel like my centers, I want to have those guys who are going to get me the 70s, 80s plus. RTS probably more was getting those 50s and 60s, so don't think I'll be like rushing to get him in, but he's going to be solid for you, of course. Alright guys, we're probably going to wrap up the stream there. We'll be back on Tuesday for a round 16 weekly preview, so keep hitting the questions up on the socials. Do follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. And yeah, otherwise we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and catch you in the next one. Cheers.